Hi, this is Wandering Dragon. We are playing Shining Force 2. Welcome back. We have finally reached the Shrine of Mitula, but unfortunately it has been taken over by devils, so now we have to go fight them. And that is what we are doing. I think we actually have 2 battles in a row here, because we're fighting outside the shrine, and then I think we also fight a battle inside the shrine. Oh, this is a cool battle background, unique to this area. It's nice that they did do some, like, unique backings, you know? Like, 'cause some of the battle backgrounds are, this is the forest one, this is the mountain one, but this is actually a unique shrine one, which I like. It's not even that long of a battle, but it's a unique asset for it. I appreciate that. This tile set is nice too, with all the flowers and stuff. I said this in the last video, but this definitely, it does actually evoke the feel of like this very kind of contemplative, peaceful garden. Oh right, he was poisoned. I forgot about that. I'm not too concerned. Bedoe. So yeah, depending on how long this battle takes, I may just put both of them in one video and have it be a slightly longer video, just because, you know, 2 battles in a row, it's breaking them up, and they sort of feel like part of the same narrative battle, right, as we fight our way to Mitula. So it seems a little silly to break them up in videos. If this takes super long, then I'll break it up, but if this is, you know, not a full half hour, then whatever. And maybe I should add Sarah back to the roster just so we have Detox on hand. We need it rarely, but apparently these giant worm things poison you, so it's become important. Just fighting various monsters. It's another map that's a little small. The previous one on the bridge was also a little more contained. And I actually do like that because, you know, some of the larger maps, I don't feel like them being larger makes them more strategic or anything, because they don't have more enemies. It kind of feels like it just makes them take a long time. So I kind of like these maps that they have just as many enemies, but they're just a little more compact, so it's sort of a little more, it feels a little more action-packed. You're not sort of meandering from part of the map to part of the map. It's like there's a lot of enemies that you have to fight. So that's kind of a nice, it's a nice to mix up the pace of that way. Let's have him use Katon since we can hit all 3. That's kind of fun. It's not super useful or anything, it's only 16 damage, but, you know, it's good to get some chip on everyone, I guess. And it's fun to have him use his magic spells. Because, you know, I would usually have him attacking, so... I guess you can't fly on these pillars. For reasons. Do not know why. It's funny, the characters can walk behind the pillars, but my flying character cannot fly behind them, which seems a little silly. But actually, he can fly in front of the pillar, so is there just something about that specific pillar, or is this what I was talking about before with hovering versus flying, and are Luke and Chester actually different types of flight? Although the game does not specify it. Or is there something specific about that pillar? I'm a little baffled. Maybe it was just slightly outside, I couldn't totally tell. Sometimes I find it, on certain tile sets, a little hard to see all of the flashing tiles to indicate where your movement range is. I kind of like Fire Emblem, where it's just a different color. It's slightly more easy to see. Going blind in my old age. He can walk behind the pillar. Maybe Luke just wasn't, his movement range wasn't enough. Oh, very nice counterattack. I think you do less damage on a counterattack, because that felt like less than he usually does when attacking. We're gonna see the Orc Lord in battle. It looks pretty much as you'd expect from an Orc Lord sprite, I guess. Not a lot to say about it. Poor Chester surrounded by foes. Oh man, this guy's even breathing fire. They have so much HP. I feel like none of the characters in Shining Force 1, maybe like one unusually tanky character had that much HP. This game feels like it has a lot of number inflation in terms of the stats. Everyone just, you know, we're what? I think there's 5 parts, so we're like maybe halfway through the game, and all of the numbers are so high that the highest level character, the numbers cannot be properly displayed. It all feels over the top. I feel like the first game was slightly more reasonable about it, but maybe the first game, was the first game shorter than this one? I have to look at the actual number of battles, and I think I did before and I've just forgotten, but like, you know, for example, right now, this is battle 29, and we're, So there might be like, what, 60 odd battles in the whole game or something? I do feel like that's more than was in the first game. I do feel like this game is longer, and there's certainly more, it feels like there's more different areas we're going to and stuff in a way. Where obviously, yeah, so he still can't fly. I guess no one can fly on the bottom of the pillar. Yeah, that's the base. But he can get behind it. So his movement range just wasn't high enough last time. Good job, Luke. Excellent. But yeah, and it feels like no one really got terribly close to the level cap last time. I don't totally remember. I'd have to go back and check. But yeah, I feel like this game is a little longer. You know, maybe for the sequel they were like, we're gonna make it like Ultimate Shining Force or whatever. I guess, you know, I'll have to see what the subsequent Shining Force games from this same era. After finishing this one, I am planning to do those. They are not available on Nintendo Switch, but they are available by emulation. From when I checked them out before, I had a little trouble getting OBS to cooperate with the Genesis emulator I was using. A couple different Genesis systems, but it seemed like it worked okay. Basically, I had trouble getting it. OBS obviously has the... Oh, I didn't even notice this guy behind the pillar. I did not even notice. Well, that's all worked out then. But you know, it has a feature where you can pick a window to capture. I had trouble getting OBS to correctly recognize the window for the Genesis emulator I was using. I ended up having to record an area of the screen, I think, as a fallback. But in my test run, it did work okay. And I do actually have headphones with a microphone, which they're not like nice gaming ones. They're actually like a super crappy pair that I got free at work like some years ago. But they work well enough, you know. They're very simple, but it is a functional headset. I should say I do actually have a pair of like nicer headphones that do have a microphone, but they are Bluetooth noise canceling headphones. So it is a little different, and I'm not sure how well that would work. It might be fine, but in this new era of in which we live, where everything is remote, I have found that if I'm on Zoom and have my headphones connected, it just crashes constantly, and it does appear to be because of the Bluetooth connection. They do have a plug-in mode, so I guess I could use them, you know, but I don't know. I don't usually. And with OBS, it could be Zoom specific, that maintaining the Zoom connection and the Bluetooth connection at once is the problem. Maybe for recording it would be fine, but I don't know if, you know, my computer is slightly dying, by the way, because of all this recording. I have basically a mid-tier laptop that's like 3 or 4 years old at this point. It was definitely not intended for this purpose. It is filled with software that a computer of its type was never really intended to run. Every time I have, like, a development environment open, it just starts dying. It has so much trouble. Like, when I have, you know, I'm using Unity with, Visual... Is it Visual Basic? I forget the name off the top of my head. It really does not enjoy that. It chugs. But yeah, so I'm not sure handle OBS and running the Bluetooth connection and just all of that. Yes. Oh, there we go. The Dark Knight was in fact the boss. Okay. And it's only been 8 minutes. This was a hella short battle. So really I could have just done this last time, but I wasn't sure how long it would take, and I didn't want to make the video take forever. Welcome, Grand Steel Force. What? Why are we looking around? We're looking around. Peter is a dumbass. He's looking around outside. The voice is clearly in there. I heard a voice from the other side of the door. Probably because they took over the shrine, guys. Zalbard, that was the third guy's name. Well, sorry Zalbard, I couldn't even remember your name, and you're apparently about to die. I'm Zalbard, I'm one of the greater devils. I don't even have a face fortunately. Do come in. Of course, you can go back now and abandon Mitula. Sir Astral, the greater devil that attacked Bedoe was as strong as Volcanon. Are you talking about Sir Odd Eye? I'm gonna assume that that's who Oddler really is, because that's why his name is Oddler. And he did have his eyes closed all the time. Maybe they're odd. Did he fight against Volcanon and Bedoe? Yeah, that's the town of the bird people we went to, where there was a volcanic eruption. Yes, and he lost. I can't believe it. Adai is the strongest devil among us. He's definitely going to be one of your former companions who had amnesia. But we haven't been able to contact him lately. This is good news for me. If I get the Jewel of Evil, I can take his place. Now enter the shrine. Mitula is here. What should we do? A greater devil awaits us inside. Well, according to my guide, he's the weakest of the greater devils. Odd eye. Odd eye. Odd eye. Sir Astral is having some realizations. Sir Astral? Also, this is peak video game logic, because in real life, the fact that two people's names sound vaguely alike does not mean they're secretly the same person. I think I've heard that name before. Why is he pushing Peter? Sir Astral? Seriously, what? Sir Astral? What? Peter, don't scare me. That was very weird. What's wrong with you? Should we go into the shrine now? Well, we need to rescue Mitula, so yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay, can I, also just express some sympathy for poor Zalbard here? This guy, he's the weakest of the Greater Devils. He's the first one we're going to defeat. And in this cutscene right before we fight him, no one is actually really talking about him. Sir Astral is just off in his own little world thinking about Odd Eye and just spacing out. And everyone is very casual. Peter's like, oh, should we go in or not? You can see that they are apparently not very concerned about Zalbard. Sorry, man. We couldn't even give you a dignified death. Zalbard. At least he's not as strong as Ardai. Like, he's listening to all this. He's like, I can hear you, you know. But still, he's a greater devil. We had better complete our preparations before we go in. Wow, Ben is talking a lot now. Okay. Like, he didn't talk the entire first half of the game. Apparently, halfway through, the writers were like, he can talk now. I'm not gonna bother curing anyone and everything. Whatever. Wow, this guy has an intense sprite. He's got, like, a purple mustache. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a hood or his hair. It is the same color as his mustache and beard, so it could be his hair, but maybe he has purple hair and a purple hood over the purple hair. He's got little horns sticking out, some kind of fancy outfit. Dude is like, just styling. What a pleasure. Nice to meet you. He's very friendly as well. He's ugly, isn't he? No, dude, he's stylish as heck. Don't be mean. Oh, there's a statue of Mitula. What? You dare insult me? I've never... For that you will die. I think you were planning to kill us anyway, dude. Are you just gonna double kill us now? Are you ready to die? He's very polite, I have to say. He's very... He's sort of oddly... Okay, so the shrine is gonna be another small map. That's kind of neat. Oh, Harpy Queen, that's a new enemy. They have freeze. And here's Zalbard, he has bolts, so that's definitely going to be tough. What we're probably going to want to do, bolts cannot attack people immediately next to you, if I remember correctly. I think it is like a ranged spell, because Ben has it too, I can check. So we might want to just surround him with our 4 best melee fighters, and then just have them just smack him. Sorry you'll only get to be in battle, buddy. I'm sure it'll be real challenging though, bolt is hard to deal with. Also, you know what this map actually reminds me of a tiny bit? It's just because of the general it's a shrine shape, but in Fire Emblem Heroes, in the first special event they did, the first year it was out in June with weddings or whatever, with bride units, one of the maps you fight on is like a wedding chapel, and this map, the shape reminds me of it a lot. So, I'm sorry Zalbard, I really cannot take your big dramatic battle completely seriously because it is reminding me of something ridiculous. The winner of this battle can marry Zalbard. Saws, buddy. Okay, we're just gonna move on ahead. I'll try not to clump up too badly since we do have magic users. Yeah. They only have Blaze 3 though, so it's not so bad, you know, it's... Not that it does nothing, but Blaze 4 is a lot more dangerous. When we start fighting enemies with the, like, level 4 spells, that is gonna be tough, because that is, like, half your health in one chunk. It's intense. Dark Knight. He does about as much damage as the magic spell. Oh, Harpy's coming up too. Okay, yeah, it's a relatively small map, but on these small maps you kind of get swarmed as well. So they are... I mean, I guess it's nice to have the big maps and the small maps to have a little gameplay variety, you know? Kind of mix it up. I mean, we can show off Ben's bolt. We do have quite a crowd here. Oh, a counterattack. Love it. Yeah, the counterattack seems to be a little weaker. I guess that makes sense. Makes it more balanced. Honestly, the counterattacks are another example of what I was saying a couple videos ago about how these maps... I'm gonna use Blast 3 and just hit like 2 of them. You know, these maps, or not these maps, this game, it has tons and tons of mechanics that the player really has no control over and it aren't really explained anywhere and aren't that big of a deal, basically. But they are there, which is odd, and counterattacks are one of them. I have no idea what the % chances that they happen. The game doesn't really explain what affects that, if anything. Do any of the stats or weapons affect it, or is it purely random? You really can't do anything to cause them, particularly, not as far as I know. They are random, and they're fairly unusual. They don't happen that often. I wouldn't say they're rare, but I really haven't seen more than, like, yeah, maybe on average, like, one a battle, and sometimes not even that, you know, so they're not happening a lot, but they are there. So the game just feels like it's full of things like this, where it's mechanics that, they're there. I was gonna use Ben's bolt, but then everyone else's turn came up, so whatever. Let's go, guys. You know, it's actually it feels like it's fairly mechanically dense. It's like, has a lot of subsystems and mechanics and things that are happening in the background that you never really know about, and I kind of feel like they don't matter that much, like they don't really affect the overall gameplay experience that much, because they're sort of all just minor. They're not full, like, subsystems in the game, they're just kind of details. The game it feels a little baroque, is maybe the way I'd put it. It's just, like, crowded with details. Which is interesting. I don't dislike it, but it is sort of odd, because it feels like a lot of work must have been put into creating all this stuff that sort of doesn't have very much effect on the game, and the player will not really know all that much about. I probably shouldn't have clumped everyone up quite so much. Oh well. Oh man, heavy attack. So it's odd, you know, it's interesting. So it's like a lot of time and effort went into creating very complex mechanics that don't have a lot of effect, ultimately. Because they just don't happen often enough, and they are not transparent enough. It's like, as the player, you don't really know a lot about how it's all, like, and maybe it's explained in the manual, I don't know, I don't have a copy of the manual, obviously. I'm playing this on a Switch game, which is essentially just an official emulator of, like, 30 different games. But I kind of doubt that they were. I feel like old games often had all sorts of things, like, you know, how the critical hits work or counterattacks or anything, which weren't really explained anywhere. They were just kind of there. It wasn't very uncommon for old games. Oh, nice, Aura level 3, dang, she's become even more useful. To just not really explain how the game worked at all. You know, just kind of, you have this game and you just play it. And as a kid, you know, the game never really explained a lot of aspects of it. Even a lot of old games, like, if you want to find out what an item does, you just have to use it and try to see what happens, kind of. It doesn't, you know, there's nowhere to find stuff out. Even the names of the classes in this game. Maybe those are in the manual, it's certainly possible, but the game itself definitely does not really explain what any of this stuff stands for. You just kind of puzzle it out. And some of them, like SNIP being sniper, sure, that's clear enough, but some of them are, like, without having read it, like, looked it up in the guide that I'm using, I would never guess that BRBT stood for Bird Battler, because what the hell is a Bird Battler? Or even, like, Wolf Baron, it's sort of not very clear. And I'm honestly, that's just a guess, because I'm like, well, there's a bunch of other classes that are called Barons. There's a Baron class, so that could work. But, you know, you could imagine maybe it's the Wolf-born, you know, Wolf something else. The wolf part seems obvious because he's literally a wolf man, but, you know, it's sort of all, it's just there. It's not explained. Or even the mechanics of what determines how frequently you get your turn. Obviously, you can infer that probably agility has something to do with it, but, you know, beyond that, the actual calculation that's being performed, the underlying subsystem or whatever, is non-transparent. And that's, you know, I think that's actually... that's probably still somewhat true of games today, but I feel like games in the past, it was just even more true that just most of the mechanics were just not explained. They're just kind of there, and as a player, let's try out R3, why not? You know, as a player, you just kind of accept that the game just works how it works and doesn't explain how it works. And you kind of don't need to know, right? It just, the turn order is what it is. But it's just kind of funny to have so much detailing in a game. No real way for the player to know about or engage with it. It's just sort of there. That's the thing too, having mechanical systems in games that you can't affect or engage with. Obviously games always have stuff like that, like random number generators and things, but there's just so many of them in this game, and it's like so much effort went into designing all of this stuff that you can't really do anything with. It's funny. It's also, you know, it's impressive in another way. It's how complex the game really is. You know, and it didn't have to be, right? They could have made something much more simple if they wanted, but they actually made this very complex game that that just sort of is complex and just sits there being complex, and as a player, it's like, okay, well, that's that, I guess. You can't do anything with it, or... Like, it doesn't... The complexity does not give you increasing choices as a player or, like, systems to tweak. It's just there. It just works in a complex way, which is funny. And I actually don't play that many tactics RPGs. I just play a lot of Fire Emblem, and I played this as a kid. Like I think I borrowed, as a kid, I borrowed Final Fantasy Advance 2, or what, Tactics Advance 2 from my bro, played like the tutorial and was like, I'm not that into it. And that's a very mechanically complex game. But there's a lot of systems you actually can interact with, like facing and elevation and stuff. You can make choices that are meaningful relevant to those systems. They're not just secretly in the background. Oh man, I didn't realize Zalbard was a moving boss. Dang. This is gonna be tough. I thought he would kind of sit where he was until we could go to him. I gotta say, that does make this a lot more challenging, so props for that. You know, I'm used to Fire Emblem where the boss just sits there in a lot of levels. His healer is right next to him too. Are we in range to pop off Aura? Nice. We should be able to get Chester and Ben. Good. She has so much MP. It's... Man, having a character that's at promoted level 35 gives you a bit of an advantage. Oh wow, this sealed like so many people. You can also... This also really demonstrates well why she is so much higher level than everyone else, because it's very easy to level someone who gets 25x every time they use a spell. I shouldn't cluster everyone up, I really should not. He has both, but also we need to get to the fight at some point so we can attack him. And it's a narrow hallway, you know, it's a bottleneck. What can you do? Very nice. We're leveling up pretty quickly. People are still poisoned too, jeez. I just want to finish this guy off so he's not hanging around attacking us from the back. You know, gotta go over to Zalbard. Still lots of levels. Because our numerical level is below that of the enemies, that's the thing. Should probably cure people's poison at some point. See, this is the advantage of flying characters. I can just send him straight over without having to go around on the stairs. Peter, you're really strong, and that makes the Zalbard fight a bit silly. Okay, let's see how much Chester can do. Well, you know, I was all like, oh shit, Zalbard's a moving boss, this is gonna be hard because of Bolt, but then we attacked him twice and he instantly died after doing nothing. He didn't even use Bolt once. We're only at 24 minutes. This was 2 battles. Good, impossible. Why do I have to die? Okay, buddy, mostly because you were like, I'm going to murder you, so then we had to fight you, and then you didn't even use your strongest spell. This is kind of on you, I'm sorry. It's really your fault. Where is Mitula? I don't know, haven't seen her. Wow, you're really useful, buddy. Oops, the ground orb. She's probably in the ground orb or whatever. I can't endure the light. Oh, then how are you carrying it in your pocket? That was anticlimactic. Thanks to the ground orb, we finally defeated Zalbard. I'm gonna say it's actually thanks to basically our character stabbing him to death. He was not hard to defeat. He truly is the weakest of the greater devils. Sorry, Zalbard, we barely knew you and you kind of went out with a whimper instead of a bang. The orb released holy power in its light. That's the wrong fits. Hey, look over there! Presumably Mitula is now free because we freed the orb. There she is. Oh wow, she has her own face portrait. I wasn't sure whether they like give her one, whether it's like she's mysterious, we don't know what she looks like. She actually has kind of a sassy expression on her face, you know? She kind of looks like she's about to say like a quip. Welcome. I kind of wanted to give her a soft voice, but I'm not sure the mic will pick it up, hopefully. I did boost the mic sound a little because because I'm sitting further away from the mic. I'm like 4 feet away from the mic. Thank you. Did she just kick that orb back into place? I've finally returned to this world. Goddess Mitula. Oh, nice to meet you, Sir Astral. Oh, you know my name. Gee. Please tell us, what should we do now? We need to advance the plot more. I don't know. Wow, you're really useful. What? But why? You're a goddess. You know our future, right? I'm not Volcanon. I never tell people the future, even if it could prevent death. So Volcanon's the guy who knows the future, apparently. Oh, actually, I guess she knows the future. She just doesn't tell people. Death? Not ours, I hope. Zeon is an unimaginably strong devil. And honestly, I feel like that needs to be clarified with some sort of scaling, because the guy we just fought, we were told, was the weakest of the greater devils, but still really strong. So, unimaginably strong, maybe not as bad as we think. If he attains full power, even Volcanon, would not be able to stop him. So we have to defeat him before he revives completely. His power is sealed in the Jewel of Evil. So that's why he wants the jewel. It is the Jewel of Evil, that makes sense. Then why don't we keep the jewel forever? Let's shoot Ben into space, then it'll be sick. Ark Valley is the place where evil power gathers. He will recover his power if he stays there long enough. Did you say Ark Valley? You call it Ancient Tower or Grand Seal. Dun dun dun! So apparently the place we lived was actually just Ark Valley. Grand Seal is named for the symbol in the tower. It seals the ground. It should probably be called Ground Seal, like the tower. I see. Didn't you already know this? Because I'm pretty sure we were already told this earlier in the game by him. Well, Miss Mitula, where are you going? Down to the surface to save the people. Aren't we already on the surface? Are you going to abandon us as Volcanon did? She just said she's going to go save people. Well, no. I'll give you a hint. Listen to the legends from the storytellers before you go to Grand's Island. You can't kill Zeon, but Volcanon and I will help if you weaken him. Ben, you are the chosen one. You have the Holy Jewel. Also the Jewel of Evil, so it's a mixed bag. We need your help to reseal Zeon. Find the Holy Sword. Where is it? How can we find it? It's on Grand's. Your jewel will lead you to... Mitula. Ben, Mitula has vanished. What should we do now? Go to Grand Seal, I guess. She literally just told us. We have to go to Ark Valley on Grand's Island. Ben, find the storytellers first. Well, that's actually just about half an hour, so let's, save that for the next one, I guess. Okay, so I guess let's just go check out the statue at least. So we finally met Mitula. Then she immediately ditched us after giving us a vague hint about talking to NPCs, which we were going to do anyway. So this is pretty much par for the course. Volcanon was not helpful. Mitula was not helpful. At least she's apparently going to go save people or something. So she's doing something. Volcanon's just like, fuck you. But it looks like we've made a lot of progress on our quest. Now, we came all the way here to get help from Mitula. It turns out we have to go back to Grand Seal, which is where we came from. So, kind of, it's all coming around again. But yeah, next time we are going to talk to the storytellers and find out a bit more about how to seal Zeon. So look forward to that. Until then, thank you, hypothetical viewers. This has been Shining Force 2. We'll catch you in the next one.